We have Ambassador Jack Tuma, former ACK Commissioner. We have Jared Okello, Nyando Member of Parliament, and we have Joe Mtambo, former Mwingi Central Member of Parliament. Gentlemen, thank you for staying with me on News Center. Mheshimiwa Okello, you're trying to react to what Joe Mtambo said about just go into this election and then we'll fix.
Now, I was explaining that the Supreme Court did give orders for IEBC to conduct fresh elections. On the same breath, they didn't say that the same crooks who messed up the electoral process should again be entrusted with another round of election. They didn't say that. Therefore, when we say that the very crooks who have subjected this country to this kind of standoff and gridlock must definitely pave way for the nation to move forward. We will not be in this situation for a very long time just because of less than 10 people in this country. This country is bigger than Uhuru Kenyatta, this country is bigger than Raila Odinga, but it is much bigger than Chiloba and company. Now, one thing that came out quite clearly, Linda, when the orders were given by the Supreme Court for scrutiny of the servers, Jubilee Wing was given a latitude to present 2 experts in ICT. Of course, same with NASA. The court, in its own wisdom, chose to have its own 2 experts actually procured from outside the confines of court. And the mandate was given to the registrar of the court to oversee the entire process. At the end of the day, and this is something that Jubilee constantly runs away from, the resultant feature that was very prominent is that there was a one Davis Chirchir who was their chief agent based at Bomas of Kenya, who interfered with the process 9,934 times. Jubilee conveniently runs away from this reality. And this was a finding not just by the court, but even Jubilee themselves, who were taken to IEBC to have this exercise carried out. Now, Boniface Mwangi and somebody Mugo, those who are not mandated by the IEBC's regulations to hack into the system, actually indeed went into the system and made several transactions against the law. So no one from IEBC, and each time you bring this kind of discussion, they scatter around other issues that are not pertinent to the issues to be discussed. So my brother has ably put it, that we were sitting, and the Supreme Court has only 3 distinct roles. One is to sit on its regional jurisdiction, which is to hear a presidential petition. Number 2 is to offer advisory opinions to national government and county government. And lastly, to sit on as appellate court on issues that have been certified by the Court of Appeal to go before them. Now, when an election court is sitting, they do not have powers to also handle criminal elements or criminal connotations of the proceedings before them. That is why Parliament, where I think my brother sat in the last Parliament, in their wisdom, they introduced Section 87, which then mandates any judge from High Court all the way to the Supreme Court to refer culprits who are perhaps suspected to have committed illegalities to the DPP for further action. And in the DPP's letter to IEBC, when he was challenged to carry out investigations, he said, yes, the Supreme Court ought to have referred us to Section 87 of the Elections Act so that we act. But we are not going to sit pretty and assume that no one transgressed the entire electoral enterprise. So that we will not be, taken round in circles over issues that should actually be indeed addressed before we go to the next election. But let me also tell you this, that even if we fail to go into this election, and by the kind of grandstanding we consistently see exhibited by Jubilee, we may not end with an election. The Constitution in Article 134 provides for a caretaker government. The caretaker means the the Speaker of the National Assembly will have to sit as the president for 90 days.
There's a lot of contention around that.
Awaiting another round of election. That is the law. Of course,
hold on, Jared. I need to speak to Chris Sairu, who is at Anniversary Towers. Chris, good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Linda.
Okay, so what has changed since the time we spoke to you? The last time you said there was a lot of security and very little activity around the IEBC offices. Is there anything new that has come up?
Well, Linda, what I can just inform you is that the number of police officers has already been increased, and the security has been beefed up. And initially we had the officers from the General Service Unit. Right now we have the Kenya prisons officers who have also joined to beef up security around Anniversary Towers, and they also joined by the regular police. And the number of police officers around Anniversary Towers has increased. There are those who are inside Anniversary Towers, as well as others who are on the other side of Anniversary Towers. We understand that at around 11 a.m., the NASA principals are expected to hold a media briefing at Orange House in regards to the information that has just got into our hands, that some of the police officers who are manning the principals have been withdrawn and redeployed to the north and eastern region. And I've just talked to the head of the NASA Secretariat, Magaya, and Norman Magaya, and it's just confirmed that the officers or the security or the bodyguards of the principals that is led by the presidential candidate Raila Odinga and his running mate Kalonzo Musyoka have been withdrawn, and they will be issuing a statement in regards to that at 11 a.m. at Orange House before they start the procession from Orange House to Anniversary Towers here, where they're expected to have a sit down and of course address the demonstrators who are expected to start arriving anytime from now, Linda.
All right, Chris, still keep an eye on what's happening on the ground for us. That's one of the stories we're focusing on this morning, that protest by NASA to try and get some of the officials of the IEBC out of office. That is the CEO, Ezra Chiloba, and 10 other officials who they say bungled the August 8th general election. Chris Sairu will still stay with us and probably give us more updates in our subsequent bulletins as well. So, Jared, there's a letter. NASA had irreducible minimums that you wanted addressed, and that is going to determine whether or not NASA is going to participate in the repeat polls, and whether or not you're going to be part of that meeting tomorrow as well. And in that letter, Wafula Chebukati has responded to some of the irreducible minimums. So on IT, it says, the Commission will embed technical experts from the UN and the Commonwealth, as well as representatives of candidates into the electoral ICT system. They said the media will also be free to cover the announcement of the results. On Algoria, they say they probably will work with the UNDP, who have offered to procure materials for it. And on IEBC officers, I believe that is Ezra Chiloba and the team, he says, it was actually silent on the senior officials at the headquarters who you guys want to send home on transmission of results. He says the Commission now says the system has been reconfigured to ensure no text results are transmitted without scanned image. On the basis of that particular response by Chiloba, are you content? Did he address the issues that you had with respect to the irreducible minimums? Was that response adequate?
Well, you have ably put it, that he didn't respond to the fundamental issues of recomposition of the team. You remember our main problem is about people who messed up the elections, and we have mentioned them. Now, he's now running to say that he will be more than willing to invite UN experts to also work alongside his experts, including Muhati, who actually was the main culprit in messing up this election. You know, we had observers in this country from Carter Foundation, European Union, African Union, and upon arrival, they were taken to some good hotels for tea and wine and good food. Then immediately, they started asking us to accept defeat so that President Uhuru Kenyatta could be declared winner and ultimately organized for his swearing-in ceremony. Now, when the Supreme Court digged deep into the issues that revolved around the elections. They then turned around, some of whom have come out publicly to even apologize for Raila Odinga for pushing him to accept to concede defeat. And that is how Jubilee has behaved when we have guests worth talking about. They want to entertain them, they want to give them good cars, they want to give them security, but at the same time withdrawing Raila's security, they want to make them look, nice, so that at the end of the day, they can rubber stamp their illegalities.
Okay.
Now, we were not talking about bringing an extra workforce to conduct issues to do with, ICT operations of the electoral process. We were not saying that. And we did not even invite UN to come here. What we are saying is that we know the crooks who messed up the process. Let them go home. He's actually skirting around very important issues of this country.
So in other words, UN out, they've not addressed the issues that you raised.
Now look at them talking about UN here. Who asked them about UN?
Linda,
Yeah.
I don't want to be rude, but allow me
Sorry,
to
finally,
sense-
every
Jared,
time we
it's
raise...
good-
Jared,
it's
Jared,
good to
Jared.
have-
in
it's
fact, he
fine.
will also answer that as well.
Okay.
Every time we raise issues around IEBC, they even have a communication wing headed by somebody called Andrew Limo. But we don't get responses from IEBC, we get those responses from Jubilee. So what kind of marriage is this?
Okay, can you let him respond?
I highly doubt whether they get responses from Jubilee. What I know is that if they do write to Jubilee, Jubilee will respond to them. What we reply is what they put on a public, like public gallery, like when we are discussing now. If he raises an issue here, I will reply him because he's talking to public. If he raises in Arabic somewhere or in a rally somewhere, he will be replied there. But the official communication do not come Jubilee. So that is a wrong impression they are trying to give Kenyans. Jared is trying to give Kenyans. Number two, when I say I don't want to be rude, it's like when you give a hyena ice cream, they will not take it. They will still go for the bone. And the bone of contention here is that NASA is not prepared for election. That is the truth. That's the bottom line. So it doesn't matter what you give them. It doesn't matter the angel you bring at IEBC. Remember, the team which is currently sitting at the IEBC, it was through the push and pull of NASA. It is them who walked in the same street to demand removal of Hassan. Today, some few months down the line, they are in the same street demanding removal of certain individuals.
So
now today, even if you give them who, and I don't know and I don't understand why they do so with so much impunity and disregard or disrespect of the same law. They know these officers, they are demanding to be pushed out. They have there and they have tenure of the office. They have there constitutionally. It is an independent commission, and they know the procedure to follow to remove even a clerk in that office. They know it very well. They are not addressing that. They are bypassing it. The freedom they have, or the freedom Kenyans have to demonstrate, is simply to express what you feel is not right or what you feel is right. You know, you can also demonstrate for. You can be happy and demonstrate. So it is only given to demonstrate, but it is limited. You are not supposed to infringe to other people's rights. Today, if they go on demonstration, they are saying that we want Chiloba out. Their message has been heard. So whoever you wanted to tell the world, yes, you wanted to tell the press, yes, you have told them. So what other business do you have? Why do you want to say we will sit here until you come out? Now you are forcing a demand which you do not have. And if in any case there is anything to be done in this country today, Linda, there's nothing short of election. And the only institution given that mandate by the Constitution, which we so, abide to, is IEBC, with the officers who are there. If you do not like this officer who is not there, there are mechanisms And he has just spoken very eloquently about who is supposed to do that work. DPP, they have not even given the DPP the opportunity. Actually, I would even hear them louder if they camp at the DPP's office and they're asking DPP, why haven't you? Or why have you not gone to investigate these guys? Or the CID. I would hear them loudly.
But the DPP has launched investigations, you do know that.
Demand the removal of this officer, and yet they know the due process.
Okay.
Then they are not sincere.
Ambassador, you get the final word on this.
Yes, what you have heard from my two colleagues confirms what I've said, that the problem of this country is the politics of this country.
Yeah.
You know, Linda, in the last 10 years, 3 commissions have been thrown out.
Yes.
Within the last 3 years, we have set a commission, and the reason why they were blamed for causing problems. I happen to have been a victim. Within the last 3 years, we have set up commissions to look at our electoral laws, and I think we have done the best to bring in some of the best electoral laws that we have. Within the last 10 years, we've introduced technology in our system that makes even developed countries feel shy compared to what we have. Now we come up, and this same political class is causing problems. How come we are where we are now? We agree that elections was nullified.
Yes.
Okay?
By the Supreme Court.
And it was not just nullified, it was nullified because there were irregularities and illegalities. Why don't we go step by step? Look up there. If there was these irregularities and illegalities, who caused it? You know, the problem that I think NASA is having is, how do you get the same people who are supposed to have caused these problems to go and carry the same elections? And I don't think it is fair to say, well, let's go through so that we can go back to court. I don't think that is the proper assessment. Let us remove all these potholes so that we go for elections in good time. And I would like to appeal also that let's be constitutional. The Constitution is not Maraga who said we have elections within the 60 days. I think I would appeal to all that we find ways and means of having elections within the constitutional provisions of 60 days. And this is why I'm saying, given the lieutenants that we have in both sides, we are not going to get anywhere. Let the 2 presidential candidates decide and give us headway. And if they can do that, I'm sure we can have elections as on 26th, will it be?
26th, yes.
As provided by the Constitution, and we shall all be happy. Kenyans are tired. Kenyans want to get ahead. Okay. But we cannot get ahead with this type of going round in circles.
So from inside looking out, because you were at the now the defunct ACK, this constant attacks on IEBC, irrespective of where they're coming from, whichever political side, in terms of morale, in terms of, I mean, these guys have, 29 days to oversee these repeat polls. What does that do? You've been there.
Linda, not that it matters to our political class, because that is a correct beating boy. Anytime anything goes wrong, you get him and hit him, then you can stand aside and say, let me tell you what.
Yeah.
We had a very good electoral commission from 1997, I think. Yeah. It was independent. That man they called Kivuitu was not a pushover. I do recall that quite a number of occasions, President Moi called him and wanted him to do things in certain ways. Kivuitu told Moi, this is okay for me, but I'm sure the commission will not accept it. And the Kivuitu came and told us, this was the request by the president, but I refused. I go back to what I said, that so long as we have external interference from either side for the commission, it is going to be very, very, very difficult. We came on well up to 2005 when we had a referendum. Yes. And the interference with the ECK started immediately after the referendum. I think the NAC government felt that the ECK stood by itself, and that is how the government lost the referendum. They started beating us very, very hard, and we started suffering from that. You know, to come back to your question, the moment you have these problems, the interference gets into the commission, and they start pulling different directions. They stop reading from the same page. And that is what we are seeing happening now with the IEBC. They are not reading from the same page. There are some who are loyal, not to Chepkati as the chairman, they are loyal to Jubilee. There are a few others who are loyal to NAC. And you know, with that type of thing, there is nothing that we expect. I sympathize with the IEBC because I don't see how, under such circumstances, they are going to give us a free and fair elections. I think it's expecting too much.
Okay. All right, gentlemen, allow me to leave it at that. Thank you so much for your time. Ambassador Jack Tuma, former ICK Commissioner, Jared Okello, Nyando, Member of Parliament, thank you so much for your time, as well as Joe Mtambo, former Mwingi Central Member of Parliament. Thank you for having this conversation with me on News Center this morning. People,